So, welcome back to the Canada Specialist Program Series. My pleasure to introduce Sonya from Destination Ontario. Now, some of you may have met Sonya on a Famil or you've seen her on a webinar before. So, Sonya, welcome back to the series. So excited to see this update on the fall today. I'm going to hand over to you.
Great. Thanks so much, Charlie. And hello, everyone. I am thrilled to be back. And as I was saying to Charlie, I really wanted to present um, in the fall because Destination Canada and Destination Ontario are putting so much emphasis on fall, and it really is the perfect time. And this image is an accurate representation of what it looks like in Algonquin Park right now. So, as you experts know, Ontario is home to three iconic bucket list destinations or cities: Niagara Falls, Toronto, and Ottawa. But we also have so many distinctive landscapes. So, nature is always easily accessible, whether you're in the cities or outdoors, for peaceful moments or outdoor adventures. We have over 345 national and provincial parks and more than 250,000 lakes. So you're never far from water in Ontario. And we're very proud of our cultural diversity. We have over 240 different ethnic groups living in Ontario, over 180 languages are spoken, and you see that global influence on the culinary scene, neighborhoods, communities, festivals and events, arts and culture, and even shopping. We have four distinct seasons, but like I said, I want to talk about why fall is the perfect time to visit Ontario and to savor culinary experiences along the way. Fall is magical. The temperatures are cooler than in the summer, but the days are still bright and warm. This fall has been extraordinary. The kids are back in school, so destinations are not as busy. And of course, our famous fall colors are on full display. And there are many special experiences only available in the fall, like the cranberry plunge that you see here. It's also the perfect time to savor the bounty of our culinary scene. Food and drink are such a great way to connect with locals, and the landscape I described allows for an abundance of variety in our culinary scene. And then the cultural diversity brings another element. So all of this has inspired innovation from chefs, producers, and artisans, and the result is spectacular. I'm going to talk about some of these examples throughout the webinar, but I wanted to draw your attention to the last point, the Culinary Tourism Alliance site. And when I send through the deck, you'll see links in it. The Culinary Tourism Alliance is an incredible resource of where and what to eat in Ontario. And one element of that is Feast On designated restaurants across the province. Feast On means that these restaurants have showed their commitment to local food and drink. So they're a particular interest. Now we're going to walk quickly through kind of a classic Ontario circle route. You'll see this map pop up now and then. Just going to talk a little bit about Toronto today. One thing I wanted to draw your attention to in Toronto are the arts and culture attractions. So, for example, the Royal Ontario Museum, the Art Gallery of Ontario, and actually the McMichael Canadian Art Collection. You'll see it in the top right-hand corner. It is in a suburb of Toronto called Kleinburg, which actually has kind of like a small town feel, even though it's really close to the city. And the McMichael is focused on Canadian art, including Indigenous art, both historical artists and contemporary artists. And one big feature there is the Group of Seven. And I'm not sure if people are familiar with the Group of Seven. The important point is that they're a group of Canadian artists who, in the early 1900s, believed that Canadian wilderness should be captured in a distinctive style. And their work was inspired, much of it, by Ontario's landscape. So visiting the McMichael is a great way to get a taste of Northern Ontario, Algonquin, some of the parks, even for people that don't have time to visit them. And then Toronto's food scene captures a lot of attention because, of course, a lot of the multicultural mix I referred to is concentrated in Toronto. Food tours are a great way to explore the neighborhoods. I definitely recommend St. Lawrence Market and quirky Kensington Market, which has a lot of like casual dining areas and vintage shops. And in 2022, Toronto became the first Canadian city featured in the Michelin Guide. And now we have 15 restaurants with 1 star, one with 2 stars, but we have over 100, or actually 100 total restaurants when you include the Bib Gourmands and the recommended restaurants. And it's notable that there are 30 cuisine types in the selection. And I'm going to skip to Niagara now. And if you've been on here before, you've heard me say Toronto, Niagara Falls is not just a day trip. We recommend at least 2 days and 1 night to see everything Niagara has to offer. And I also wanted to mention fall colors come later the farther south in Ontario. So Niagara actually isn't even at peak full fall color yet. We'll hit that even in a week, maybe 2 weeks. So your customers coming in later October, they're going to see the fall colors in Toronto and in Niagara Falls. I've listed some of the iconic attractions in Toronto here, and I know that you're familiar with most of these. One I wanted to highlight is Niagara Parks Commission introduced a new Indigenous audio tour at Niagara Glen. So this is a hiking area that you go down into the Niagara Gorge, and they worked with local Indigenous people to put together an audio tour with storytelling. And this is a great way to do some learning while in the Niagara area. The other thing I wanted to mention, you see Niagara helicopters here. If your clients come in the winter, if they come between mid-November and early January, that's during the Winter Festival of Lights, when there's 3 million lights along the Niagara Parkway. And Niagara Helicopters is offering evening flight seeing tours, which is an amazing way to see the Festival of Lights. And then on the right, the image of dining at Table Rock Complex. I wanted to mention that the Niagara Parks Commission has put a lot of work into making sure that all of their restaurants have this feast on designation that we talked about. I was in this restaurant last week. Every time I go, I'm amazed by the food is great. The location is incredible. So I highly recommend Table Rock Restaurant. And I know last year we talked about the Niagara Parks Power Station. Niagara Falls is, of course, one of the busiest tourist attractions, but the Niagara Parks Commission has a protection mandate. And this power station is an incredible way to see a historic power station that's been renovated. And their viewing platform is available at night now, too. And of course, 25 minutes away is Niagara on the Lake, totally different atmosphere. Over 100 wineries in this area, particularly ice wine must be tried. And the Trius Winery restaurant is now one of the Michelin recommended restaurants. Another option for combining urban and outdoors is Muskoka, which is 2 hours north of Toronto. It's arguably the most prestigious of cottage country areas in Canada. And the beauty of this region is that your clients doing fly drives can explore the small towns, the galleries, the shops. And there's a wonderful boat cruise, and you can see me here on the right doing the cranberry plunge. And you guys, I was not posing for the camera. Somebody caught me as I just got in last year for the first time doing this plunge. And it's so cool, so soothing. So I highly recommend the Muskoka Lakes Winery and Farm doing the Cranberry Marsh. Algonquin Park is a must-do in the fall. Spectacular colors, more than 2,400 lakes. Another link that I've provided here is Algonquin Outfitters. They offer guided and self-guided day trips in the park. So they have the canoes. They'll set you up with a guide or set up the clients to canoe on their own. I did this last year in September with a fam, and the colors were spectacular. Ottawa, all of a sudden I realized that I get excited and I talk too much. So Charlie, send me a sign when I need to be cut off, and apologies. Ottawa, the capital, of course, is a center for heritage, home to 7 national museums and galleries, plus many others. But it also has a very vibrant culinary scene. C'est Bon Ottawa offers amazing foodie tours in the Byward Market and in other areas. And then Brew Donkey does craft brewery tours. And they have 35 brewery partners. So Ottawa, they like their craft breweries. So highly recommend those experiences. And Ottawa's really green, really walkable, over 800 kilometers of recreational pathways, bicycle rentals. I'm including links for 2 different companies. And actually, there are even combination foodie tours and cycling tours together. So that's a perfect way to see the city, eat a bit, and not even be in a vehicle. Now, as people head back towards Toronto, they head into the Eastern Ontario region, which is home to the Thousand Islands and Kingston. Kingston is a charming small city known for historical and cultural attractions, great restaurants, incredible architecture and historical sites. And this region has different choices of boat cruises from different cities. But during fall color season, it is amazing to go up with Thousand Islands helicopters and see the sights from above. I urge you all in a couple weeks to attend the webinar by Ontario's Highlands. And Holly will talk about these next couple slides, but I wanted to reinforce a couple highlights here. Elmhurst Resort is on several fly drive itineraries sold in the market. They've been working with trade for decades, and they're a 5th generation owned property. And what I love about this resort is it's a quintessential lakeside experience because visitors get their own little cottage. They have different sizes and they have their own kitchen, but they also have a full dining room. So they can do it either way. And they show their commitment to local through their farm to table dining and their full Canadian wine list. And they also have a wine cellar. They have lots of activities on site. Most of them are included. Some are premium, like boat rentals or flight seeing. And this is a property committed to sustainability. So highly recommended for your clients. And then, of course, with 250,000 lakes and countless rivers, the canoe has been incredibly important to the history of Ontario. So it's no surprise we have a museum dedicated to canoes and kayaks. It's in a brand new building that just opened a couple months ago. There was extensive collaboration with the Indigenous community, and it's evident throughout the exhibits. And one really cool thing is you can see it's on the water. So they have regular canoes and Voyageur canoes, so people can canoe on site. I just went here last week for the first time, and it was amazing. They actually have a canoe bus or a shuttle that runs a couple times a week from Toronto, and it's about 90 minutes from Toronto. But for people on fly drives, it's between Toronto and Ottawa and near Elmhurst. And then my last quick mention is super trendy Prince Edward County, which is it's probably the trendiest place in Ontario, and it's paradise for foodies. Incredible caliber of food, wines, distilleries, but also the towns are all small, so easy to connect with the outdoors. And look at me, my stay in touch slide. Thank you, Charlie.
Perfect timing. Thank you so much, Sonia. Absolutely love
uh,
those pictures. So such a stunning time to be in Ontario during the fall and wonderful food, wonderful destinations. Thank you. That was a really lovely tour of the province.